It was the autumn of my sophomore year when I first noticed him. Francis, a quiet and unassuming guy in my literature class, always lingering on the edges of social gatherings, his eyes fixated on me. His gaze was intense, like a predator watching its prey. And yet, there was an odd vulnerability in his expression that drew me in. We struck up a conversation after a lecture, and from there, a seemingly innocent friendship blossomed. His shyness was endearing, and I found comfort in being the one he confided in. Little did I know, behind those gentle eyes lurked a twisted obsession that would soon turn my life into a living nightmare. As our connection deepened, Francis's demeanor shifted. He became possessive, demanding to know my whereabouts at all times. Innocent gestures turned into suffocating embraces, and I felt a chill creeping down my spine whenever he spoke of our future together. The warning signs were there, but love has a way of blinding us to the sinister shadows lurking beneath. One evening, I received a mysterious package at my doorstep. Inside, a collection of photos revealed chilling evidence that Francis had been watching me for weeks. The pictures captured intimate moments, unguarded and unsuspecting. Panic set in as I realized the depth of his obsession. Confronting him only fueled his rage. He accused me of betrayal, of secrets I never harbored. Francis's possessiveness escalated into outright threats, and the walls of my once safe world began closing in. Desperation pushed me to seek help, but every step I took to escape his clutches was met with calculated retaliation. As the days turned into a haunting blur of fear and manipulation, I found solace in a friendship that would prove to be my lifeline. Sarah, a fellow student with a fierce determination, offered support when others turned a blind eye. Together, we began to unravel the twisted web Francis had woven around me. The final confrontation took place in the dimly lit alley behind my apartment. Francis, consumed by his obsession, confronted me with a dangerous glint in his eyes. I feared for my life as he cornered me, accusations dripping from his lips like venom. But just as all hope seemed lost, Sarah emerged from the shadows, a beacon of strength. The confrontation ended with Francis being restrained by the authorities, his delusions laid bare for all to see. The nightmare was over, but the scars lingered, a constant reminder of the thin line between love and obsession. In the aftermath, the advice I offer is simple but profound. If something feels off, it probably is. Surround yourself with a support system that will lift you up in times of darkness. Speak out against the shadows that threaten to consume you, for there is strength in breaking the silence. As I look back on that twisted chapter of my life, I am reminded that true horror often wears a familiar face, hiding behind the mask of affection. It's a lesson etched into my soul, a cautionary tale that I share with you, dear listener, as a chilling reminder to tread carefully in the labyrinth of love. In the quiet town of Eldridge, nestled between rolling hills and whispering pines, there stood a seemingly ordinary townhome complex. A place where laughter echoed through the hallways during the day and the soft hum of studying permeated the air at night. I lived there with my college roommates in what we thought was a haven of safety. One gloomy autumn evening, as the cold wind rustled the leaves outside, we were engrossed in our studies, oblivious to the unseen terror that lurked in the shadows. The clock struck midnight when an eerie silence descended upon our apartment. The only sound was the faint ticking of the clock, marking the passage of time. Suddenly, a series of sharp knocks shattered the tranquility. Startled, we exchanged nervous glances. Who could it be at this hour? The knocks intensified into aggressive banging, echoing through the narrow hallway like a malevolent drumbeat. I approached the door cautiously, my heartbeat drowning out all rational thought. Peering through the peephole, I saw two figures cloaked in darkness, adorned with police uniforms. Relief washed over me. The police were here. I hastily opened the door, only to be met with a chilling gust of wind that extinguished the warm glow of our living room lights. The imposters, with blank, soulless eyes, stared at us. Something was off. Their badges gleamed unnaturally in the dim light, and the air turned thick with tension. The taller one, a menacing silhouette, spoke with a voice that sent shivers down our spines. "Evacuate immediately." "There's an imminent threat," he ordered, his tone devoid of any warmth. Fear seized our senses. and we stumbled into the dark night, glancing back at our home, now a foreboding silhouette against the moonlit sky. As we huddled together in the cold, clutching our phones like lifelines, a realization dawned. Those weren't real police officers. The ominous truth struck us like lightning. We were prey, and the hunters circled, hidden in the shadows. Panic set in as we realized the gravity of the danger we faced. The imposters had orchestrated a ruse, and now we were vulnerable, exposed to the unseen terror that awaited us. As we sought refuge in the chilling night, the imposters vanished into the darkness, leaving us in a state of disarray. Desperation fueled our sprint to the nearest police station, our breaths visible in the frosty air. Every echoing footstep, every distant sound, amplified our terror. Upon reaching the police station, we recounted our harrowing encounter. The real officers, expressions grave, assured us they would investigate. With trepidation, we returned to our townhome, the air thick with lingering fear. But the imposters were nowhere to be found. Days turned into nights, and the unsettling silence persisted. We lived in constant dread, haunted by the memory of those impersonators who had violated our sanctuary. The townhome, once a refuge, now harbored an unseen terror that lurked in every corner. One fateful evening, as we gathered in the dimly lit living room, a cryptic message appeared on our television screen, sending shivers down our spines. It was footage from that night, our night of terror, captured by an unknown entity. A distorted voice whispered, "You can never escape." As the screen faded to black, the truth unfolded. The unseen terror was not just a physical threat. It had infiltrated our sanctuary, leaving an indelible mark on our psyche. The chilling twist revealed itself. The imposters were merely pawns in a malevolent game played by an entity that reveled in our fear. Now, as I recount this tale, I implore you, dear listener, in the face of danger, question the veneer of authority. Be vigilant, for the unseen terror may be closer than you think. As we rebuild our shattered sense of security, the chilling echoes of that night linger, a stark reminder that the boundaries between safety and horror are often blurred. I've always believed in the safety of my routines. I'd close my apartment door, making sure it was securely locked, just like I did every night. But one evening, that sense of security was shattered. It was a regular day, the kind you wouldn't expect anything unusual to happen. The apartment was its usual mix of comfort and quiet. After a long day of classes, I returned, looking forward to some peace and quiet. As I reached for my doorknob, a flicker of unease whispered in the back of my mind. The door creaked open without the familiar resistance of the lock. My heart skipped a beat. I could have sworn I'd locked it that morning. A chill raced down my spine, but I dismissed it, thinking I might have been absent-minded in the rush to leave. That's when I heard it, a faint shuffle from the darkness within. I froze. My mind raced with the possibility of an intruder in my supposedly safe sanctuary. Every step inside felt like treading on thin ice. The apartment was eerily silent. I cautiously moved through the living room, the anxiety building with each passing second. The faintest sound came from the bathroom. I held my breath, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure they could hear it. Pushing the bathroom door ajar, I saw a silhouette huddled in the corner, a figure, a stranger, in my home. Panic surged through me, but I had to keep my composure. I had to get out. But the intruder was between me and the door. The seconds felt like an eternity as I plotted my escape. The window, it was my only way out. I inched toward it, every creak of the floorboards echoing like thunder. The intruder remained fixated, oblivious to my movements. With trembling hands, I slid open the window. I was 2 stories up, but I had no other choice. As I hesitated for a fraction of a second, the intruder turned. Their eyes met mine, a chilling recognition that froze my blood. I leaped, the rush of wind and fear merging into a terrifying symphony. The impact on the ground stole my breath, but adrenaline propelled me to my feet. I didn't look back. I ran, calling for help, feeling the echoes of their presence lingering. The police arrived. The search ensued, but the intruder had vanished without a trace. The realization that someone had invaded the very place I considered my haven was paralyzing. The advice I offer to everyone who hears my story is simple yet crucial. Never underestimate safety. Stay vigilant and secure your surroundings diligently. In a world where danger can lurk in the most familiar spaces, caution is our greatest defense.